Welcome to Steps Forward with Ricki, a weekly walking podcast designed to help you take steps forward in your life and your day. I've been thinking about doing this kind of podcast for, 10 years, and I had all these different ideas of what I would do and what it would be and how it would be, and none of them really just made sense to me. Whether I was in a bad place in my life or it just didn't make sense in my career, but I put this podcast off a lot. And I was on a walk a couple weeks ago, and I was just thinking about my life and everything that I've been through and the things that I've learned and all the obstacles I've overcome, and I'm sure all the obstacles I will have to overcome in my future. And I just kept thinking about what's the biggest theme that my life has been. And as I put one foot in front of the other when I was on my walk, it just hit me. I was like, oh, wow, steps forward. Because ultimately, everything in my life, everything that I've done, every place that I've been, every place that I'll be going, it always has required me to take a step forward emotionally, mentally, physically, and it really has been the theme of my life. And so if you're here, maybe there's something in your life that you have to take a step forward from. Maybe it's a new choice or a new job or just an obstacle that you're overcoming. Maybe it's just simply getting out of bed and putting one foot in front of the other. I know what it's like to feel like you can't take a step forward. I know what it's like to feel overwhelmed and underwhelmed and frustrated and in pain and all these different things that we experience as people. And if we can just learn to take a step forward, and I can show you to take a step forward or show you how to take a step forward, I really believe that the more we can learn that and the more that we can be in it together, this journey of taking steps forward. And so that's where I'm at today. I thought, there's no better name for a podcast than what the theme of my life has been, taking a step forward. And I wanted to start this podcast, the very first episode, introducing myself because I want you to know who I am, and I want you to understand where I've been so you understand where I'm trying to go. And I want you to be able to relate to me and the things that I talk about and the stories that I share and have you understand why I'd say them and where they're coming from. So what better place to start than the beginning? Because that's where our stories always start, at the beginning. When I was 13 years old, I lost my mom to cancer. She was sick for 5 years, not on and off. She had non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. If you're not familiar with the cancer life, that's not the good cancer. There's Hodgkin's and there's non-Hodgkin's. And my mom was sick for a while. I remember my childhood being incredibly inconsistent. She would have hair and then she wouldn't have hair. She would be sick and then she'd be in remission. And it was just this constant roller coaster of a step forward and a step back. And I was only 8 years old when she got sick, and I was only 13 when she died. And I remember physically walking out of my mom's hospital room after saying bye to her and thinking to myself that the world that I was in was no longer, and I didn't feel safe anymore. And even when I would take a step forward, I didn't feel like I was actually moving. And I spent a lot of my life, I would say from the ages of 13 to 20, feeling like I couldn't breathe. Yeah, it was fun, and I was out there, and everyone sort of knew me as like Hurricane Ricki, and I did this and I did that, but like internally I was always in pain. And I suffered a lot. As a child, as a teen, as a young adult, I had horrible eating disorder. I had really bad ADHD, and school was really challenging for me. And the most intense suffering that I went through was the suffering of within. You know, when my mom died, I felt unsafe in the world. And I didn't even know that I felt unsafe, but I lived my life trying to find a way to be loved the way that she loved me, never realizing that it was really an inside job for me to love myself the way she loved me. And so throughout my life, throughout my 20s, I really, about 23 years old, I had this moment of my life of like, okay, I can live my life in pain, and I can have this loss, and I can keep taking these steps forward even though I don't really know where I'm going, or I can make a conscious decision to change my life. And sometimes all it takes is one conscious decision. That doesn't mean that you figure everything out all at once. It doesn't mean that all the things come. But when you make a decision to change your life, you are deciding that you want more for it. And when you make a decision that you want more for it, you get more for it. And I was 23 years old. I had a horrible eating disorder, and I was overwhelmed by grief and underwhelmed by my life. And I made a decision. I decided to enroll into become a health coach, an online health coaching. This is like 2012. This is way before everyone and their mom and their dad and their sister were health coaches. And I enrolled in this Institute for Integrative Nutrition. You may have heard of it. And my goal was to become a health coach to really help myself overcome my own eating issues and to give myself a little purpose. I also really wanted to move to Colorado, and I was 23 years old, and it was the only way that my dad would let me is if he knew that I had a certification of some sort. So I was like, all right, I'll become a health coach. And I enrolled in this program, and within 1 month, the universe stepped in, because it always does when you make the right decisions. I was sitting at my house, and my best friend at the time literally showed up at my doorstep and knocked on my door, and I opened it. And she said, Ricki, I really need your help. And I'm like, great, I probably need your help too. What do you need my help on? She was like, I have 150 pounds to lose, and if I don't lose weight, I'm going to die, and I really think that you will be able to help me. And my first thought was I've never helped anyone in my life, and I already have a horrible eating disorder, but what can I do for you? And she was like, I think you'd be a really good leader, a really good coach. So I jumped in with both feet. I took a step forward into this new path, and I became her coach. And for 290 days, we started a journey together. We had a blog called Break the Weight, where every single day I coached her to lose weight and I coached her to change her lifestyle. We blogged about the experience for every single day. We had all these different subscribers, and we had this email list, and people would tune into our adventure, and it was called Break the Weight. And within a few months of us blogging and sharing our adventure and me coaching Lulu, we made a discovery. It wasn't just the physical weight that we were talking about or that we were breaking. It was the emotional weight. It was the mental weight. And I talked about grief, and she talked about being molested as a child, and we both talked about different losses in our life and depression, and we realized we were breaking more than just physical weight here. She lost 100 pounds, and after that experience, I turned that blog, Break the Weight, into a business. I took a step forward into a new path. I opened a new door, and I built an online coaching program where I helped people for almost 11 years change their life and change their habits and ultimately take steps forward in their life. I help people lose weight. I help them get healthier. I help them overcome certain obstacles. I help them build daily habits. And really, that was my existence from the ages of probably 23 until I was 32. And I'm only 33, so we have a lot to uncover here. And it was amazing. I loved helping people. I loved being that source of inspiration for people. And I would do it on stages, speaking about the weight in our lives. And I would do it on my individual phone calls. And I would do it on Instagram. I did all these different things. And it was really an opportunity for me to be self-expressive, but also to be in a position where I could give back and help other people. And so for most of my life, I have been in service in some way or the other. And really being in service has gotten me from point A to point B. And I would say that about maybe a year ago, everything sort of just changed. And I decided that I really didn't want to do life coaching anymore. Not because I didn't love helping people or because I wasn't interested in helping people. I was burnt out. And I think that when you're burnt out and you think that you have to be on one path, you're in constant conflict with yourself because you're like, what should I do? And what am I supposed to do? And all I knew was life coaching. And all I knew was this world of weight, of breaking the weight, of loss, of all this different stuff. And I wanted to kind of know a new world, even though I didn't know what that would be. And so I made a decision, and it happened to have been the pandemic, but I believe that the pandemic was just the door opener I kind of needed to make this decision. And I decided to stop life coaching, and I ended my business, Break the Weight, after 11 years of coaching hundreds and hundreds of people and really living in that certain leadership position. I decided to take a step back so I could eventually take a step forward. Well, when you take a step back, sometimes you take about 20 steps back. And I would say that that's what happened to me. In 2020, I totally lost my shit. I really did not know what was next. I had been life coaching, I'd been speaking, I'd doing all these different things, and there I was just kind of lost. No speaking, obviously pandemic, no Break the Weight, no life coaching, what the fuck was I going to do? And I somehow got this opportunity to do some content creation and marketing for a company. And it was really challenging for me at first because I'd never been an employee before. And I also wasn't the best employee. And also it was so far from the world that I was just in, even though I didn't want to necessarily be in that world like that anymore. And I would say that for the first 6 months of 2020, it was really challenging for me to take a step forward into this new path of mine because the path was so unclear. And when you don't know where you're going, even though you know you don't want to be where you're at, it's hard to take a step forward because you don't know what you're stepping into. But I knew that any step forward was better than what I was doing before. And so I started doing marketing and started doing content creation for a company and then another company and then another company and another company. And all of a sudden I started to build a second business called More Than Marketing. And that's what I do now. I help organizations and entrepreneurs and startups with more than marketing. I help them with their content creation and their strategy and their leadership and their team building and helping them build visions and really doing it in innovative and creative ways. And it's really fun. But when I was on my walk last week, I had a thought. I thought, you know what? I love my business right now and I love what I'm doing and I'm learning and I'm growing and I'm so grateful that I went on this journey to figure out something else out and to be in this position where I could have this new business. But I felt like something was missing. And as I was on my walk the other day and I was thinking about the theme of my life, it hit me that this was the thing that was missing. Because at the end of the day, being self-expressive and being motivational and being the person who tells you to take steps forward, that's just who I am. Whether I bring that into whatever I do, it's just innately who I am. And it has to be a part of my life. And so when I created this podcast and when I talk to you guys, it's a form of self-expression for myself. It's a form of my way to talk about where I'm at, to hopefully inspire you to move your body more and to take a step forward into your goals or your dreams or just with your day. And so I'm excited to be here because I've had this story of my life and I've experienced this loss and I've experienced this business and this motivational speaking and all these different things. And I've experienced now this new world of marketing and building a new business. But I'm at this point where I have yet to experience like this new me. And I feel like this podcast is an opportunity for me to step into this new me. And I want to step into it with you guys, because if I can step into this new me and this new chapter of me, that's not just about loss, that's not just about break the weight, that's not just about, that kind of stuff that I've been doing forever. It can just be about whatever I want it to be about. And it can be about the real stuff. And it can be about the journey that I'm currently on, because sometimes we don't hear about the journey until after the journey. But I'm about sharing the journey. And so in a lot of ways, this is sort of like the Break the Weight blog that I started when I was 23. It's a form of self-expression for me. There's no alternative motive. I just want to build community with you guys. And I want to keep it real and relatable. And sometimes I might come in here and have something to talk about from my day, about how to take a step forward. Maybe it's with my business. Maybe it's just with my life. Maybe it's a story that I heard that I want to share with you guys. But my whole point is that you have stories in your life that happen. You have stories in your life that you create, and then you have stories in your life that you recreate. And I think that's where I'm at right now, is that I'm in this unique position where I've taken a step forward from the old life that I've had into this new world. But I'm ready to take another step forward into the new me and into this new leadership position. And I want to encourage you to do the same. I want to encourage you to get back on track when you fall off and to rewrite your story and to create new ones and open new doors, but also to be you. I mean, that's the most important thing for me on this podcast, is that you feel like you can be you and you can exist in this world as you, and you can exist in your work as you, and you can take steps forward with the things that you're going through in your life, but also take steps forward to just being more you. And I think for me, I felt so lost last year because I didn't feel like me. And I think when I was doing all the other stuff, I felt like that was like the old me. And so here I am now trying to create and exist within the new me. And I'm just really excited about it. And I'm probably rambling and you're probably like, what is she even saying? But the whole point is that I have this whole story, but I'm also rewriting a new story. And that's just who I am as a person. And so I hope that you'll take this journey with me and that you'll rewrite your story, and we can laugh and you can be like, this girl's kind of ridiculous, and you can move your body, because that's super important. And you better be walking as you're listening to this. I know that I'm sitting, but like I have to sit. I also get like a bajillion steps in a day. But that's a huge part of this podcast, is I want you to move your body. I want you to walk. I want you to take a step forward. I want you to re-energize, and I want you to give yourself the opportunity to create whatever vision and whatever journey and whatever path feels most aligned to you, because I know what it's like to live a life that feels misaligned. I know what it's like to be in pain, and I know what it's like to feel really lost. And I also know what it's like to take a step forward from all of that. Even if you take a step forward and you don't know where you're going, you can still take one forward. And so here I am, this is where we're at, and I'm going to keep it real and relatable. And I hope that you're excited, because this is going to be fun. And I feel truly in my heart that this is a new chapter for me, in the same way that I felt when my best friend showed up at my doorstep and asked me to help her lose 150 pounds. I felt like she was allowing me to open something that maybe I couldn't have opened on my own. And so it feels good here, because this is the door that I've actually opened by myself. And I'm ready to walk through it, and I'm ready to walk in general, and you better be ready to walk too. So Steps Forward with Ricki, 20 minutes every Monday. I'm here, you're here, we're going to do it together. Whatever life throws at us, we're going to take a step forward. And I'm going to drink water.